I'm Dr. David Bilstrom from the International Autoimmune Institute and Bingham Healthcare. Bingham Healthcare, changing Eastern Idaho, changing the world. And the world we're changing today is the world of type 1 diabetes, preventing type 1 diabetes, and even more specifically, preventing 90% of all type 1 diabetes. Is also called insulin-dependent diabetes. At one time it was called childhood diabetes because only children got this. Unfortunately, kids are now getting type 2 diabetes, so they had to change the name to insulin-dependent diabetes. Now, type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease. The immune system has become confused and is actually attacking our own body parts. Now, in type 1 diabetes, the body part being attacked by our disrupted immune system is in the pancreas, and more specifically the beta islet cells in the pancreas that are supposed to make insulin. Insulin is a hormone that our bodies make to prevent blood sugar control issues. Now, because the autoimmune disease attacks the beta islet cells and knocks them out, they're not there to produce insulin. And so it is a terrible, terrible disease. Without insulin, we basically die. These young people, typically under the age of 20, are stuck using insulin, either injections multiple times a day, or nowadays an implantable under the skin insulin pump to try to keep blood sugar control as good as you can. Now, it's a terrible disease though. Even though you work your very hardest to keep that blood sugar control as best you can, oh my gosh, it just leads to so many chronic problems, including blindness, neuropathies, terrible nerve pain, numbness in your legs and your hands, and it moves up your arms and your legs. It's just terrible disease. So much nicer to prevent it than trying to chase it down once it is well established. Now, the article we're going to be referencing is from Lancet, the famous British medical journal, from 2001. It's old news, but people don't know it, but now you will know it. And the title of the article in Lancet 2001 is The Intake of Vitamin D, a Birth Cohort Study. Now what they did is they followed every child born in 1966 in northern Finland, and they decided to follow them for 31 years. And what they asked half of them to do is take 2,000 IU of vitamin D every day, first year of life. The other half, they said, don't take it. Now, 2,000 IU of vitamin D every day is super tiny doses. Nobody is going to be optimal with their vitamin D levels in their body with just 2,000 IU. Ideally, vitamin D levels optimally should be 70 to 90. Nobody's going to be there at 2,000, but it's a good example of how smart the body is. And if you speak the language of the body, a little bit goes a long way, especially a little bit when you're quite young. So what they did is, after following for 31 years, the children that got 2,000 IU of vitamin D first year of life, a 90% reduction in type 1 diabetes. 9 out of 10 cases of type 1 diabetes were prevented simply by taking 2,000 IU vitamin D first year of life. Didn't matter what else you did the next 30 years, they just wanted to follow you. Now, there were some people, some kids that took vitamin D sometimes, but not all the time. They actually had an 82% decrease in type 1 diabetes risk. It's a great example of how smart the body is. You don't have to be perfect, just perfect enough. Now, ideally, you might have gotten even a better prevention if you actually would have checked vitamin D levels, simple test, get the vitamin D level up to the optimal level so that your blood level could be 70 and 90, maybe you would have had even better impact. But 2,000 the first year of life goes a long way. Now, they also saw that the kids who got the 2,000 IU of vitamin D the first year of life didn't get schizophrenia. Isn't that a lovely thing? Now, at the end of our time together, I'm going to talk about what the impact will be in our society and our children if everybody knew this and everybody followed this by 2030. But in the meantime, what I'm going to say is you may be asking, wow, that is profound. If it prevents type 1 diabetes and prevents schizophrenia, will it prevent other things? And I would say that is a very good question. Now, we have ever so many studies about vitamin D preventing all types of autoimmune disease, not just type 1 diabetes. We also know that cancer is the flip side of the same coin that is autoimmune disease. So give me just a moment to explain to you the immune system and how this works. So the immune system is a great example of how the body likes balance. You don't want to be too high, too low in anything. Blood pressure, blood sugar, there's a sweet spot right in the middle. Well, with the immune system, there's a sweet spot right in the middle as well. But when you lose that set point right in the middle of the immune system, you move away from it both up and down. Now, the up-regulated, overactive immune system things are things like your autoimmune disease, where you start attacking your own body parts. Never a good idea to have the immune system attack your own body parts. We're basically self-destructing. Now, also allergies, asthma, and eczema. So if you have these guys, you know this immune system is disrupted. You know you're moving towards autoimmune disease. The down-regulated immune system issues include infections, recurrent infections like recurrent ear infections, strep throat, sinus infections, UTIs, such things, and cancer. Now, this is where when you lose that set point, move away from it, you're at a much increased risk of autoimmune disease, but a much increased risk of cancer. So what we do at the International Autoimmune Institute is try to bring people right back to the middle. So you get rid of the upregulated autoimmune thing, but you're also getting rid of cancer risk. The same things that prevent autoimmune disease prevent cancer, the same things that you do to try to keep this together will also prevent other things like recurrent infections and allergies and asthma. So cancer is the flip side of the same coin as autoimmune disease. There are ever so many articles about vitamin D preventing cancer. For example, if a woman's vitamin D is above 60, she'll decrease her risk of getting breast cancer by 82%. Just like if a woman, when she's pregnant, keeps her vitamin D level above 50, she'll decrease her child's risk of ever getting the autoimmune disease multiple sclerosis, the one that attacks the brain, by 50%. Just by a woman's vitamin D being above 50 during pregnancy, we would prevent 100 new cases of multiple sclerosis in the US every week. Wow. Also, you might have remembered that the 2,000 IU of vitamin D the first year of life, the kids didn't get schizophrenia. Now, the previous video we've done for Bingham Healthcare, changing Eastern Idaho, changing the world, that was the world of anxiety and depression. And you may remember we talk about how important it is to be lumpers and not splitters. So just like every autoimmune disease is really just one disease that can attack any body part, all the brainy stuff is really one disease. And if you want to go after the cause of the brainy stuff, to get rid of the brainy stuff, it all comes from the same thing. So here you have this article that talks about preventing schizophrenia. Well, in the other video, we talked about how schizophrenia and major depressive disorder basically is a disruption of the same brain part. Even though they seem quite different, they're actually caused by the same thing. So then you think, well, geez, if you're preventing schizophrenia with 2,000 IU of vitamin D first year of life, is it preventing other brainy stuff? Well, there's ever so many articles out there about how vitamin D really protects the brain and brainy stuff. So what is the future going to look like if everybody knows this? You know it. Please pass this on to your friends, your family, your children, your parents. So by 2050 in the US, it's expected that 600,000 young people under the age of 20 will have type 1 diabetes. Wow. But if everybody knew this 2,000 IU of vitamin D first year of life, maybe even higher levels if you check blood levels of vitamin D, let's say just 2,000 IU first year of life, we would prevent 545,000 of those children, young people, from getting type 1 diabetes by 2050. Over 500,000, over 500,000 young people would not get type 1 diabetes if everybody knew this by 2030. So please, pass the word on. 2,000 IU, no side effects, only up, no down, and let's prevent over 500,000 young people from getting type 1 diabetes by 2050. Thank you.